Come shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my Hashivenu lai lai lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai 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 lai. Ufros aleinu, ufros aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, shlomecha, ufros aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, shlomecha.
Chag Sameach, everyone.
Sameach.
My name is Andrew Kaplan Mandel. I'm one of the rabbinic interns here, and I am so honored to be leading with Rabbi Maurice Salth and cantorial intern Jenna McMillan, as well as our amazing Central Synagogue musicians, Dave Strickland and Yvonne Barenboim. We are so happy to be here. It is Zman Simchatenu.
It has arrived.
It is the time of our rejoicing, and we are commanded to do so because we have made it through the high holidays to this place where we can once again engage in the oneness of the universe and use our ancient rituals to do so. We can build a sukkah, we can sit in a sukkah, we can eat in the sukkah, we can lift up that etrog and that lulav, and we can, v'simchatem, we are commanded to rejoice amidst all of the other emotions that I know that we're holding at this time. And frankly, it's easy to rejoice in a space like this, in a beautiful sanctuary with this incredible canopy. So thank you to those who constructed that, and thank you to our security team and our maintenance team for creating a space that's safe and beautiful for us to worship in. I want to say hello both to the folks who are here in the sanctuary, and I want to do the Laura wave to our friends in the live stream and our neighbors.
From
we are
Armenian
so
to
happy.
Armenian,
That's right, that's right. And we have to thank our AV team for making that all possible. And as we just sang, we have this sukkah of peace that we are asking to be spread over us, and that extends to all of you in your homes out there as well. We're going to begin our service now with the lighting of festive candles. So I will invite Laura to come and do us the honor.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel yom tov. And we sing the Shehechianu together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
We are on page 130 in our special weekdays and festival prayer book, which looks like just like the Shabbat prayer book, but it's not. It is the weekdays and festivals prayer book. If you're looking for it, you can find it on our live streaming page at centralsynagogue.org. We've arrived at Baruch Hu. Please rise if you're able. Please be seated. On page 133, let's read the reading at the bottom of the page entitled On Sukkot. The colors of early evening sky blend and deepen, allowing new lights to be seen, twinkling through the branches, the promise that in darkness, new light will be revealed.
ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, We continue with Ahavat Olam on page 134. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amecha Havta Amcha ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We're on page 142, about to sing Mi Chamocha. Almost all of our festivals have an agricultural narrative and connection and a Torah narrative and connection. So the agricultural connection to Sukkot, that's an easy one, because Sukkot is recognizing what? The harvest, the end of the summer season and all the bounty that exists not only in Israel, but around the world when the end of the summer season concludes. If you've been to the local farmers markets around New York City, they're overflowing with the most incredible produce. And we have on our table a very large zucchini that we have no idea what to do with, but we have it because our cousin Marcia said, take the zucchini, please. So it's that time of year. It's the harvest, and these temporary booths, these Sukkot, were built to allow for a little respite from the sun in the fields of ancient times and even modern times. Okay, so what's the Torah narrative connects to the Sukkot? Say again? They lived in booths. Our ancestors lived in booths on the journey, temporary booths on the way to the land of Israel. These temporary, structures. Maybe we have a little idea. If any of those booths looked like this sukkah, you can understand why the words "Ma tavu o alecha Yaakov," Alecha is really a tent, but still, could say "Ma tavu Sukkot Yaakov." How beautiful are you, Sukkot? House of Israel, because it's just breathtaking, our sukkah here. So yes, the Israelites lived in booths on the way to the land of Israel. And so that connects as well. So as we sing this Mi Chamocha, you can imagine them after they exited through the sea, they said to each other, where are we going to live on the way? And someone said, aha, how about a sukkah? So as they were singing the song, they might have been thinking, okay, we better get our acts in order here. We've got to figure out some temporary dwellings to live as we make our way into freedom. Let's sing Mi Chamocha together. Kamocha nedar bakodesh nora tehilot oseh
Who is like you?
This is an offering adapted by Rabbi Paul Kipnis, great for this peaceful autumnal wonderland. Let's take a moment and turn inward and enjoy a few moments of guided meditation. Sit up as straight as you can, close your book, and close your eyes. You at home as well, I can see you. Now relax your hands, placing them on your lap, or put your fingertips together and feel the balance of pressure. And now, just breathe. Take a big breath in, hold it, and let it out. Again, breathe in, hold it, and let it out. Now keep breathing and keep listening. Rabbi Rachel Berenblatt writes, "Here's the thing. The year begins anew, even in the worst of times. The leaves will turn and fall, and then they'll grow again. And sometimes we're afraid, and we can't know what choice to make to keep anyone safe. Sometimes uncertainty is a bear. All we can do is seek out sweetness everywhere we may and work to fix what brokenness we find. The good news is we're not in this alone. We'll help each other hope when light seems dim, and we'll lift the sparks that darker days reveal. We'll love each other fiercely. In the end, there is no greater work that we can do. We who survive will help each other through. That's what Kehillah Kedoshah, a holy community like ours, does. We remind each other that, in the quiet of your mind, not aloud, repeat after me. I know I'm not alone. Again, silently in your mind, repeat, I know I'm not alone. When I'm frustrated that our celebrations must be different, smaller, rescheduled, or postponed, say it in your mind with me, I know I'm not alone. When I worry about my children going back to school, say it, I know I'm not alone. When I fear for my parents who now need a booster, I know I'm not alone. When I feel overwhelmed by even simple decisions like what to make for dinner or how dressed up to get, I know I'm not alone. When I am angered by the politicization of science and the pain this has caused, I know I'm not alone. When I cannot figure out if this cold requires a COVID test, I know I'm not alone. When I feel bad because during lockdown I binge-watched TV instead of learning to play guitar, take a class, exercise more, or do something more productive, I know I'm not alone. When I remember that so many are less fortunate than me, so even though we are in this together, we are not equally in this together, and I need to do more to help them, I know I'm not alone. When I'm sad because I feel like I've lost a year and a half of my life, I know I'm not alone. When struggling to make time to take care of myself, whatever that means, I know I'm not alone. You are not alone. We are all in this together. And also remember, not being alone doesn't mean it isn't frustrating and overwhelming and worrisome and scary. It just means that we are not alone. So feel that connection. Take strength from the community and remember the lessons of the shofar. The sounds of the shofar parallel our experience. What once was whole, tekiah, became broken, shivarim, and sometimes shatters, shruah. But ultimately it returns to wholeness, tekiah. Since we have transitioned from the season of shofar, let's train ourselves to hear the call of the Holy One in other ways. sending us strength and hope and resilience, calling to us to tell us that, no, I am not alone. We are not alone. We can get through this together. Please rise if you are able for Amidah.
Hashkivenu
Excuse me.
first.
Hashkivenu.
On page 144. You can be seated. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and just. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, from sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu
And now we shall rise for the Amidah.
Adonai Svatay Tiftach Adonai Svatay Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imah ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים אתה קדוש שמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue silently with the prayers on the page or in your heart.
Oh, guide my steps and help me find the way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms, oh, guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Guide my steps and help me find the way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms, oh, guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms, oh, guide my steps. If having Elijah come over on Passover means an extra glass of wine, you might need an extra carafe or two for all of the biblical visitors during Sukkot. Throughout this festival, it is a special custom to welcome in our ancestors, Abraham, Sarah, Miriam, King David, and others, as ushpizin, Aramaic for visitors or guests. While we tend to think of the Sukkot as the booths that the Israelites built after the Exodus, at least one ancient source says that the first sukkah was the tent that Abraham and Sarah built and welcomed strangers in. And we, in turn, strive to build one worthy of their example and of their visit. What happens when you invite visitors into your home? What happens when you invite ancestors into your home? This summer, some of you know that I embarked on an amazing adventure, the rabbit hole that is Ancestry.com. Oh yes, I have trudged through cemeteries to photograph tombstones. I have gotten lost in the microfilm of the New York City archives on Chambers Street, downtown. I have gone through census records and birth certificates and marriage licenses and ship manifests. I have stalked people on Facebook, explaining that I'm a rabbinical student doing family history research. I sadly have no fortune to offer you, and I'm not looking for any money. I just want to know if Frances Levinson is your great-grandmother. Once you find people, you of course look for family traits. Wow, our great-grandparents look alike. Do you also have a history of cancer in your family? Do we vote the same way, or is that a touchy subject? What you discover when you peel back the years can be revealing. You discover names of people and of towns. We always thought that my last name, Mandel, was originally Mandelowitz. Mandel meaning almond, Witz meaning son, so son of a nut. Now I know that it was actually Mendelowitz, meaning son of Mendel. And I found Mendel's records in Romanian archives, and our family history and honor is restored. I now have a map of all of the cities and shtetls where my 8 great-grandparents were from, as far north as present-day Lithuania and as far south as Romania. At a time when so much feels unmoored, it can be anchoring to know that you come from a people and a place. You also discover resilience. I learned that one relative, Carol, lost her husband when they both were exposed to nuclear fallout during an atomic test gone wrong in Nevada in the 1950s. Carol's daughter, Judy, also lost her husband as well as both of her children in a terrible boating accident. Horrific. After her tragedy, Carol went back to library school and became known as the original Google in the LA County Library. Since her catastrophe, Judy has learned healing through glass blowing in Portland and has started a foundation for maritime safety. At a time of vulnerability, it's a privilege to know that you come from people who put one foot in front of another. You also discover the shoulders you stand on. My great-grandfather was a baker in the Bronx. His daughter was a secretary. His granddaughter was the first to go to college. And his great-grandson, well, I am here with all of you. At a time of harvest, it's important to know that what we have is not simply the product of our own doing. You also discover linked arms. I couldn't understand why I found my great-great-grandfather Sam in the census records living as a boarder in his 70s in someone else's apartment until I realized that his daughter Dora married a Wasserman. I found Dora Wasserman and her husband and their kids and their 2 grandsons all living across the hall from Sam in the same building. The Wassermans stuffed the relatives so tightly in one apartment that they needed a room next door to fit great-grandpa. At a time of unpredictability, it's comforting to be reminded how people are capable of watching out for each other. You discover answers. We didn't know much about my great-grandfather Isidore. It turns out he lived with his first cousin Harry when he first came to America. It turns out that two of Harry's children became the 1971 Nobel Prize winner in economics and a professor at the Wharton School of Business. His grandson served as Treasury Secretary. We come from a family of economists. My brother is a math genius who works in finance, and none of us could really ever follow his explanations of his job. And now we have relatives who can understand what he does. At a time of confusion, it's useful to be able to connect the dots. You also discover more questions. My great-great-grandmother Sarah lived in New York in 1905, but she disappears from the records by 1910. Did she go back to a village near Kovno? Did she remarry? Did she die at a young age? Some of you have even more questions because you may not have had the privilege of pursuing genealogy. You may be adopted and do not know your birth family. Your family may have been completely wiped out by the Holocaust, or they were enslaved, history erased. Perhaps that is why we traditionally reach back to the Hebrew Bible instead of our own individual family trees for the ushpizin we invite into the sukkah, to focus on our shared story. Because the Torah tells us we come from a people and a place, from people who put one foot in front of another, that what we have is not simply the result of our own doing, that people are capable of watching out for one another, that if we look for meaning, we can start to connect the dots. To tell you the truth, all this genealogy work is fascinating, but the care and concern that I suddenly feel for my newly discovered relatives, yesterday strangers, today mishpocha, family, is both beautifully understandable and somewhat arbitrary. In some ways, genealogy is just a rehearsal for the way we ought to treat as many people as we can. There is something special about being part of a tribe. And I wonder what would happen if we looked at the person across the shopping aisle or on the sidewalk and thought, we're related. The Talmud teaches that that's why the Torah begins with Adam as opposed to Abraham, so that no person can say that their ancestors were better than someone else's. When we invite our ancestors into our homes, we start to internalize how we are all connected to one another, like those colorful paper chains that adorn many a sukkah, that we didn't get here alone and that we can't leave others behind. I think that's the message of this holiday, where we are instructed that we only need 3 walls so that there can be an opening for others. Maimonides taught that anyone who sits comfortably with their family within their own walls but does not share with those in need is performing a mitzvah not for joy, but for the stomach. If you know people who have lost a partner or their parents, people not originally from the area where you live, they may not have a regular place to go for Shabbat dinner. Right after this service, drop them a note and extend an invitation, if not for an indoor gathering because of COVID, then for a picnic in the park or for a meal on Zoom. Make room in your sukkah, in your home, in your life, for as many guests as you can fit. If the Wassermans were able to house 9 people in their apartment on Brook Avenue in the Bronx, we can set another place at our table today. Chag Sameach. We now are able to enjoy the ritual of the lulav and the etrog. I have this special message from the American Jewish World Service. A midrash in Vayikra Rabbah seeks to unearth deeper meaning in these 4 species, with pairing them with a part of our body. As we reflect on this and shake the four species in service to God, we are reminded of the importance of using our bodies in service to humankind. The hadas, a bough from the myrtle tree, represents the human eye. As we wave it in front of us, let us break down the barriers that we have erected so that we may begin to truly see and recognize the suffering of others. The ahava, a leafy branch from the willow tree, represents the human mouth. As we wave it at our sides, let us locate our voices loud and strong so that we may speak out against inequity of all kinds. The lulav, a frond from a date palm, represents the human spine. As we wave it high, let us draw on our strength and resilience and stand tall together against oppression. The etrog, a fruit from the citron tree, represents the human heart. As we wave it low, let us reach into the wellspring of our compassion so that we may open our hearts to all the inhabitants of our world. And as we join four species together in our hands, let us unite as a community and use our collective vision, voice, power, and compassion to confront injustice. Jenna will lead us in the blessing.
And the blessing can be found on page 307 if you would like to follow along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat lulav. All right, and with that we have we shook the lulav, and now we are moving on to a very special part of our service, Hallel. So each festival we have, our order of service gets a bit larger as we include a section of psalms which are meant to increase our joy and our praise of God during these joyous times. For Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which we've just experienced, Hallel is not included due to the heaviness of everyone's fate hanging in the balance as our names are hopefully written into the book of life for the new year. This time of Sukkot is called Zman Simchatenu, time of our rejoicing, so it's even more appropriate that we would express our joy through song on this day. And we will begin chanting Hallel with a blessing on page 294. Page 298. B'tzeit Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez, Hayta Yehuda lekodsho, Yisrael mamshelotav, Hayam Rav Ayanos, Hayadin Yisov le'achor, He'arim rakedu chelim, Givot kivnei tzon, B'tzeit Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, Beit Yaakov ne'am lo'ez. study can be found on page 303. Pituli Sharei Tzedek Pituli Sharei Tzedek Avovam Odeya, Avovam Odeya, Avovam Odeya, Avovam Odeya, Pitchuli Sharei Tzedek, Pitchuli Sharei Tzedek, Avovam Odeya, 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 Avovam Odeya. And we now rise as a community for our concluding prayers, starting with page 322, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing if you are able. In the presence of this Sukkot Shlomecha, we invoke the memories of those that we have loved and lost. If you are marking a period of mourning, 7 days, 30 days, a year, or if this is the anniversary of a loved one, I invite you to share their name as I share my hand around the congregation. We turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 334. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, bi'alma divrach chiroteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berachata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'imru Amen.
We turn now to page 122. The words to the festival Kiddush can be found there. I just need to grab the Kiddush cup.
You know what, you're getting that. I was just looking at the beautiful sukkah, and I was reminded of one of the great Hebrew words that is connected to the sukkah, and that is the vegetation that's on top of the sukkah. Do you know what we call the vegetation on top of the sukkah? It's pronounced skach, which I'm just going to encourage you to try to say that. It's like S-K-A-C-H, or like?
Yeah, that's all right.
Skach. I can barely say it, skach, but there's something joyous about just saying it. And
it's like pop rocks.
And this Kiddush, and this Kiddush adds to that joy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ham v'romemanu mikol lashon v'kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'titein lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava moadim l'simcha chagim uzmanim Lisason et yom chag hasukot hazeh ziman simchatenu mikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu vacharta veotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim umoadei kodshecha besimcha uvesason hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim. L'chaim.
Amen.
We hope that your Sukkot holiday is filled with sustenance, not only the meals you may eat within your sukkah, but that you may have sustenance of the soul as you begin this new year of 5782. Surrounded by the warm hug of this community. And we conclude with our tradition of singing Turn, 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 written by Pete Seeger, using words from the book of Kohelet. These words tell us that for everything there is a season as we go on turning.
It's page 400.
To everything turn, turn, turn.
There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to love, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn.
time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.